This is Ben Laing, and in this video I'm going to be sharing the lesson that I've learned of the process of knowledge to practice, knowing to doing. So it was Napoleon Hill that actually said that, maybe quoting Andrew Carnegie, that knowledge is not power, knowledge is only potential power. Organized knowledge put into practical action is the real power. So it's just like, to know and not to actually use it is really, you don't really know it. So this is a lesson that I learned from something I thought I knew in the real life world, out in the real world. If we're not able to use the knowledge that we've learned from lectures, from workshops, from reading out in the real world, then we don't really know it. We're not really doing it. We're not really living it. So we need to have that synchronicity of everything together. So knowing in it and actually using it. So at Toastmasters, we do this thing called table topics, which we are put kind of on stage to talk for 2 minutes. This is like a fun section of Toastmasters. And I was giving a headband to sell. So I was to use a full 2 minutes and talk for a full 2 minutes and kind of do a speech selling this item that I was given. And I thought, okay, this is quite a good topic for me. Sales, I've read a lot on sales, I've made a lot of sales, and I thought I knew it. So I walked out quite confidently, but I actually flopped a wee bit at about the minute mark. I was doing everything right, told a bit of a story why headbands will get like the hair out of your face, but I forgot the structures of sales in that moment under the tension in the real world. Or let's say this is just training Toastmasters, but it could have been out in the real world when it was time to actually sell something. So for the right occasion. So we want to be able to know it so well that we're using it in the right, we can organize our thoughts and use it in the right occasion. So luckily I was just in Toastmasters at this point, but I went through sort of features, advantages and benefits almost in the wrong order. And then the people who noticed that I was kind of running out of ideas at the 1 minute mark shouted out, like my audience shouted out to me, 50% off for buying it today. So like that's the scarcity. And then I could have used other things such as authority or social proof. So for example, I did a wee bit of research on headbands and how you would sell them, and having a look at some of the websites like Zara.com, which is, I think it's a female clothing site. So I searched for that and I ended up on that website, and I was looking through what their copywriting says. And some of the things they are going through that feature, advantage, benefit, and that would be something like velvet, because it's soft, and soft, therefore it's more comfortable. You might have, it doesn't cause as much heat on your head, less sweat, and so on and so on. 50% off today. And then you could mention as well that Kate Middleton was wearing it 2 days ago or 3 days ago at an event, and now headbands are now trending again in the clothing industry. So using all of these different angles to sell this one thing, this is really just copywriting or sales basics, which you go through the process and you can sell literally anything. So although I'm not passionate, or I'm not involved in making, or don't know what the benefits off the top of my head are about a headband, I should have went through the normal sales processes, the tools that I've been given in books and from workshops and mentors and people who've taught me about features, advantages and benefits, and doing it in that order, and scarcity and social proof. But when we're put under the tension, we start to realize how well we know the thing. So it's good that I was disappointed in myself for not being able to like remember all of those steps, because I remembered at the moment I sat down, I remembered all these things, and I was like beating myself up about it in my head. But that's a good thing, and this is what the part of the process of knowledge to practice is. We have to feel like that, where we're disappointed and I thought I knew that, but I didn't use it, and then actually beat ourselves up about it in a way. And then the next time we're probably moving closer every time we feel that way, that we thought we knew it but we didn't use it. we didn't use our 100%, then we get closer to actually when the occasion does come, we're using it in the real world as well. So this is just realize when you feel the same way as I did, that all that's happening, especially if you're noticing the moment you sit down after making those mistakes, that means that you're like, you have that knowledge, it is there. So that's a good thing. And then that just means like the sooner you realize after you've made that mistake, for example, about emotional intelligence, if you shout out at your partner or your business partner or your children, and then like the next day you go, whoops, I shouldn't have done that, that's a wee bit too late. So like your consciousnness around your emotional intelligence about how you should act, or how ideally you would ideally want to be and act around people is a bit of a delay. But as we start to learn and focus and maybe reflect on these mistakes more often and close the gap from who we're being into like who we want to be, then we're becoming more conscious of these mistakes. So this, like if you have, like I did, a split second the moment I sat down after getting off a stage, recognizing, then that's a good, for me, I see that as a good thing in my learning process of the process of knowledge to practice, because that means I'm getting closer to just doing it and avoiding making the mistake in the first place. So closing that gap of to literally seconds of making the mistake to realizing you made the mistake is a good thing. And then eventually you should overtake that making the mistake in the first place and start to just use it out in the real world when those moments start to come and the occasions come. There is a thing called the pyramid. It's called the pyramid of learning. Don't know if you can see that, but we can think of it as like going to a lecture, reading a book, and then practice doing it. And our retention stays, the more we kind of see a lecture and reading is the lowest sort of student retention rates are. But when we start to like do things and teach others, like what I'm doing just now, doing it, teaching it, being demonstrated is even better than reading it. Someone demonstrating it actually working in practice. But what's better is if we put it into practice, and then once we know that and start using it and see it working for ourselves, teaching it to others really embeds that into our consciousness and awareness. So we're even more likely to use it and be able to teach it better as well, because we really embed it and know it. So there's this, if you have a look at that on Google, pyramid of learning, it'll give you a good idea of how students and how we can retain things better and start actually using the knowledge that we're learning. Because I think that's a big mistake, a big gap where I see there's an opportunity, especially running Ben's Business Book Club Facebook group. There's about 1,300 members in this free Facebook group that you can join. But I feel like there's a big problem where people are learning loads and not actually implementing that knowledge. So this is what I'm wanting to share with you, that understanding that process of knowing to practice and actually doing it and knowing what helps you retain things. So repeatedly reading the books will continue to help you move towards actually doing it in the real world. But what's even better is just trying to do it, making yourself uncomfortable, seeing demonstrations, getting mentors to really make you do it and show you how they're doing it. And these advanced ways of learning will really help us move forward to taking knowledge and applying it. So going out into the real world really is the best way of learning. And then a step even further is taking what you've experienced and teaching it to others to really solidify that lesson. So thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful, and hopefully you can start putting your books that you've been reading into action in the real world. Let me know if you've watched this live or if you've watched it on replay. Just put in #replay if you've watched it on the replay. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.